What's up, y'all? It's Friday. I hope everybody out there is happy and healthy. So with all of that said, let's get down and talk about what transpired yesterday with Diddy. His lawyers were in court fighting on his behalf, trying to get the rest of his sentence terminated. Now, this stems from the fact that he got convicted of the Mann Act. And according to Diddy's lawyers, most people who are convicted of this egregious crime only do about 15 months. And their argument is that Diddy has been locked up for 19. And so the fact that the initial judge who presided over this particular case gave Diddy 50 months, Diddy's lawyers are arguing that it's a bit excessive, right? And then on top of that, they're saying that Diddy did not violate the Mann Act. Now, it's important to note that Diddy did not show up in court yesterday with his lawyers, and you guys know how I feel and what I was told. I don't think he's locked up anyway, but we're speaking from the premise that Diddy is locked up, okay? But the overall ultimate goal by Diddy's legal team was to get Diddy released on yesterday. Now, that didn't happen, and from what I'm being told, it's going to take another couple of weeks or so before the judge can come to his decision. And so we'll just have to wait and see what conclusion this judge comes to. There's a lot of people that feel because of the time frame that this went on yesterday in court, it was supposed to be only a 20-minute meeting that turned into 2 hours. So a lot of people feel that the defense actually stated their case and stated their case very strongly. But anyway, I want you guys to check out these clips.
P. Diddy appeal hearing. It happened this morning. I just got out. Let me tell you something. You've been hearing for weeks. Diddy's release date getting moved up for good time served. Diddy's release date getting moved up for the drug program participation. Well, soon you might be hearing Diddy's release date moved up because of what's going on in this appeal. So what is this appeal about? Well, I think the best way to understand it is when you look at what the prosecution was arguing and how the judge immediately cut in and asked them this question. So the prosecution was arguing that, the lower court gave a proper sentence for the prosecution charge because there were aggravating factors here. And the judge cut in immediately and said, wait a second, you just said aggravating factors. You presented a theory of the case to the jury that this guy committed coercion, that this guy was violent, that this guy was forcing women to do stuff, and the jury rejected all of that. Why shouldn't we hold you to your theory of the case? When you hear the questions that the jury was asking, when you consider the fact that this is the longest sentence ever given to a defendant in a Mann Act case with criminal history similar to Diddy's, nobody ever got a sentence this big. You have to consider the very real possibility that the appeals court don't just cut sentences. They don't say, oh, you're out. But what could happen here is the appeals court can say to the lower court that, hey, you know how you gave him an enhancement because he was coercive? That's not right. You can't consider any coercion, any giving people drugs, any physical violence, because all of that stuff he was acquitted of. If he wasn't acquitted of it, then he would have been found guilty of sex trafficking. But obviously the jury said, hey, the coercion, the physical violence, it's not enough to meet sex trafficking. Why is it now being used to enhance his sentence for prostitution? What I would expect, I think very soon here, a couple of weeks, you're going to get a decision, and potentially that decision is going to involve a remand for resentencing, which would then potentially involve a lighter sentence and more updates telling you that Diddy's release date has been moved up.
A panel of 3 federal appellate judges were peppering lawyers for Sean Diddy Combs and federal prosecutors over this question of where do they draw the line for a judge considering acquitted conduct versus the conduct of a crime that a defendant was sentenced for. That's the heart of Sean Combs' argument, because he was acquitted of charges of trafficking and racketeering conspiracy, but he was convicted of 2 counts of transporting people to engage in prostitution. That is where the lawyers drilled down on this during this hearing, which was supposed to last 20 minutes. It went 2 hours. The lawyers being asked questions with judges interrupting them back and forth. The main thrust is that Combs' lawyers said that the jury did not convict him of sex trafficking. He should not be punished for sex trafficking. They said that the judge included that when he came out with the sentence of 50 months in prison. Now, the prosecutor said that the judge made clear that there were other factors that he considered in the sentencing that did not relate to sex, including that the judge considered that there were people involved in the escort service who were involved in the transportation. They were not mentioned in the racketeering charge or the sex trafficking charge. So the prosecutor is saying that that was distinct from the acquitted conduct. They also said that the judge made clear when he was sentencing Combs that he was aware of this issue of acquitted conduct and he would have came down with the same sentence either way. As the arguments were coming to a close, one of the judges said to the parties that this was an exceptionally difficult case, a case of first impression, and Combs' lawyer said that no matter which way they came out, she hoped that they reached a decision quickly.
Diddy could legit be out of prison within the next few days, and the reason why comes down to what's happening in court right this second. An appeals court is actively reviewing his conviction under the Mann Act, and his defense team is making two arguments that, if either one of them lands, he walks out of prison as a free man. Now, the first argument is the one that's going to get people a little angry. Diddy's team is saying that this wasn't trafficking. They're saying that this was essentially private consensual activity that they described as choreographed, filmed encounters between adults. In their words, this was amateur, word that rhymes with corn, and because it wasn't commercial, wasn't distributed, intended for private usage and not public use, and that Diddy spent money on it versus making money off of it, they're arguing that it's protected under the First Amendment. Now, that sounds like a reach at first, but legally it forces the court to answer a real question, which is, where is the line between criminal conduct and protected expression? The second argument is about the sentence itself. Diddy got 50 months, 5-0. His attorneys are saying that that's way outside the norm, that most Mann Act cases land closer to 15 months, 1-5, and that what they're saying is that the judge relied on allegations tied to charges that Diddy was already acquitted of. They're saying that the judge took into consideration things like coercion, force, and the Cassie video, and the defense is arguing that should not have been factored into sentencing for the Mann Act conviction because he was acquitted of the charges related to those things. So if the appeals court agrees, well, Diddy's already served about 19 months, which means he's already done more time than what they're arguing he should have gotten. So absolute best case for him, conviction gets overturned, he walks. Second scenario, sentence gets reduced, he still walks, or the judge refuses to rule in his favor and he stays right where he is. All this is being argued right now. We have no ruling yet, and it's highly unlikely that we'll have an answer today, but when the ruling comes, it could be pretty quick, and if the court agrees with either argument, Diddy could be home within days. Follow and drop your thoughts in the comments. As soon as we have more information, I'll be back to update you guys. This one could be like really huge in changing the way that court cases look at things like this, or the judges look at things like this.
All right, so you guys just saw and heard all of that, and listen, Diddy could be a free man in the next couple of weeks, and I know a lot of people are terrified about his release because I believe that when Diddy gets out, he's going to wreak havoc. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to have people deleted. I think he's too criminally hot at this particular point. They're watching all of his moves and everything that he does, but I think that there will be several lawsuits handed down, including probably to my ass too. But hey, I don't give a damn. It is what it is. But hey, I want to hear from you guys. Do you think Diddy is just going to continue to chill in his be in prison, until the judge releases him? Or do you think that the judge is going to renege and say, hey man, you got to sit down for the 50 months or the rest of the duration of his sentence? It's going to be important to see how this all shakes out. But anyway, feel free to drop down in the comments and let a brother know what you think. Don't forget to like, also share this video, and if you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel. I'll get with you guys later. Have a beautiful day.